let's talk about corpse wax. Trigger warning, gross. I'm not going to show pictures. If you would like to see pictures, Google at your own discretion. So, corpse wax, also known as adipocere, is this waxy, soap-like substance that is found on the surface of dead bodies under certain conditions. It's formed by the process of hydrolysis done by anaerobic bacteria, so bacteria that love a very, very low oxygen environment, and it's also very similar to the process of saponification, or turning things into soap. So this happens in a very specific environment. It has to be very low oxygen so the bacteria can operate properly. It also has to be somewhat warm, but not too warm. Now, this does happen occasionally in caskets and coffins, as well as more commonly when a body is just buried in moist, warm soil, such as near a lake bed or occasionally a swamp, but basically anything with a good amount of mud, moisture, all of that. So basically what happens, instead of the regular decomposition process, the anaerobic bacteria does the hydrolysis of the fatty tissues, specifically the fatty acids. So this is more likely to happen with people with a higher body fat percentage, such as overweight individuals or women, and the bacteria will break down all of these fatty tissues and metabolize them and secrete the stuff that they can't use onto the surface of the corpse as this gray or white waxy soap-like material. Now, it is rather delicate and crumbly, but in the correct conditions, it can continue to build up and build up until you get something called a soap mummy, which is basically a corpse that has been mostly or entirely covered with this adipocere. And sometimes, again depending on the conditions, it can very, very well preserve certain features. There is a case of a brain found covered in this adipocere from the 13th century that is so well preserved in this corpse wax that you can actually see some very, very specific individual features of the brain, which is super cool. Now, this is somewhat rare. It doesn't happen very often, but it can be a very interesting research opportunity, and when this does happen, it does stop the regular decomposition process in its tracks, so it can preserve some very interesting features for further study.